All right, what's up, guys? Doggett, Doggett is standing behind me, or off to the side. I don't think he's in the screen. Come on, Doggett, come down here. Give me a hug. Thanks, Doggett. Crows forever. Okay, two effects. Yeah, by the way, I'm Greg. I'm the effects artist here. You met my intern, Aislinn, earlier, who's did an awesome job helping me push the Druid out. We were actually doing some of those effects after it was released and polishing, and things could always be polished a little bit more. I'm going to build this in game. You're going to see Billy's and an orb that I placed mistakenly. Billy's little pie chart pizza timer. So you're going to wait 30 seconds. The next thing Effects is working on are some construction scaffolding. Aaron, our other environment artist, has been building that, and then we're going to rig it and show you different states as this is being built, so you're not staring at a pie chart for 30 seconds. Okay, so here is John's Ballista. So I'm going to show you today the Scatter Storm, which is going to have a similar effect to Aurora Emitter on the Druid. Once you have that debuff on you, anyone in close range is going to also take a ton of damage. So you're going to want to scatter. Everyone's going to scatter, hence the name Scatter Storm. So this is the effect we have for it. It's a large thunderstorm that's going to hit a decent sized area. And a lot of my effects I build piece by piece, and I'll add a lot of layers to it and then tone it back. And this is one where I showed Blair a little early at the maximum phase without toning it back, and Blair loved it, and so did Melissa. So we went with it. So you see there are several different components here. You can't see because that flag is blowing in the way. But yeah, I'm going to deconstruct this effect, show you how I got this working in game using Unity and Popcorn, making some of my sprites in Photoshop. One more time. Yeah, and then you also see there are lightning effects on the Ballista bolt. Through the flag again. Okay, so I'm going to break this down piece by piece. There were two particle systems I created for this. One is the lightning strike, and then the other is the projectile. And then the rest I did with decals and projections in Unity. I animated them in Unity. So let's see. We got the rallying banner field. Not rallying banner. That's a different effect. Scatter Storm is what I'm showing off today. Okay, so this is our lightning strike, and the effect itself in Unity is spawning a couple more of these, and they're varying in size and location to make it look like a thunderstorm. So I can show the different pieces here that I have built, and that's how you go about this. It's just one piece at a time. So you can see I started with just these lightning streaks. By the way, this editor is the Popcorn Effects editor, which is awesome. Integrates with Unity pretty well. And each of my nodes here, I don't know if you are familiar. If you are familiar with particle systems, you know that you'll have your spawner particles and then your update particles. How they behave per frame. And Popcorn here has node editors for me to define rules based on when the particle is spawned, and also per frame, how its movement changes, its size, its color, and I get a ton of control in here. I get to sample from different curves for sizes, colors. I can just show one of these curves here. So this is one of my alpha curves on Sparks. So basically, it's going to start off at a 0 transparency, and then during the life of itself, I'm going to try not to get too technical here. It's going to fade in and then immediately fade out. And these are our spark particles on here. I slowed that down a bit so you can see them fading in and out. And they're just following the values on this curve over the life of the particle. I start with talking to Melissa and deciding what we want, what we're going for. Obviously, if you pull up like real lightning here, lightning strike. They have a lot more branches to them. It's not too often that you see like just a single strike, but it's very like on point. So we want to strike a single location, and I want to have many of these. If I were branching out a lot more, it wouldn't read as well as a whole with all of these lightning strikes. You can see here that, I mean, these are real lightning strikes. But a lot of them are close together, and it looks pretty cool. I think as an effect in game, this could get a little busy, and you wouldn't really know what you were looking at. But yeah, so I started with these here. I can show you how that's built. Let's see, without getting too technical, I need to remind myself. I feel like in the Guy as Well video, I went into a technical hell, and John edited a lot of that out. Let's see. All right, so here I start with an emitter that basically shoots these particles up, ends up fading the particles it spawns near the end. So we get this like nice soft trim off. Per frame, I have each particle moving off a little bit into a random direction here. And that's going to create like the little zigzag lightning lines, lightning bolts. And then from there, once I get my first layer, I'll move on to the next one. And this was for the initial impact. I have sparks coming off. What I was actually going for here, let's see. I don't know if there are any Yu-Gi-Oh players out there. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh since like 2004, but there was this card called Raigeki that destroyed all monsters on the other side of the playing field, which one of the best cards in early Yu-Gi-Oh. But it's got this very like stylized impact, and I kind of use this as inspiration for the base of the lightning strike. So you can see between the sparks and this initial flash, I'm getting some of that, while still trying to keep my particle count down. What's awesome about Popcorn is it's going to show me like all of my performance charts up here. I get to see my instance particles, the overdraw that Jason and Mr. Mike mentioned earlier, when someone asked how effects will be optimized, and we're trying to keep the overdraw to a minimum. Like you're seeing here, I'm not even going into yellow. It's just staying green. So I'm keeping these particles and the overdraw as minimal as possible, because one, just for this effect alone, there are going to be a lot on screen, and you have to take into account all the other effects that are going to be on screen that every other archetype is creating. So here you can see, let's see, got some commented out code here. I set a lot of variables because I'm going to use the same color over and over again. And I know if you've taken algebra or you have a basic understanding of programming, that if you're going to use something more than once, you're going to want to create a variable for it. And then set values for that variable elsewhere so that you don't have to keep going in and changing your values. So what I do here is I always reference these like color underscore 01 and 02 variables here. This effect is actually blending the two colors I have here. So if I go in and change this value to red, I bump up the red value, I'm going to get a blending. You're not going to really see a blend because the red is overpowering. But if I pump up the green value here, you should see a yellow lightning bolt. There you go. So that's cool. I could also do things like blend it over the life of the particle. So we're going to get like, yeah, let's do it on these sparks. So on the life of the particle, you're going to see it fade from one color to another. So here it's blending from yellow to like a greenish red.
Want to take a question, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you need to repeat it just in case they didn't hear me.
Okay.
How long can it take to create one effect from scratch?
Okay, someone asked, how long can it take to create one effect from scratch? And I know it's a lame answer, but it depends. It depends on, the complexity of the effect. Some of these sparks could take like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. There's a lot of experimentation that goes in it when you're testing speeds, and I'll get a concept from Dave, and then it's all about, like, Dave will sketch out one frame. I need to animate that and make it feel alive and give it its own character. Even though it's not a character, it needs its own personality and match the Crowfall style. So I'll go, laptop dying. Can someone get me my charger or a charger? Sorry, man. Yeah, so it depends on the complexity of the effect. The guy as Whale Bear that was probably one of the longer effects because we didn't have some of those tools and the scripts I created. The Druid's Orbs, although they're not too complex, we changed those. We went through many iterations. So I think the orbs altogether probably took like 2.5, 3 days going through different iterations. But the guy as well probably took the longest, where something like this only took like 2 hours, half a day. Thanks a lot, Dog. Dog is always here to rescue the day. I love you, Dog. Okay, now I am completely changing this effect, showing you guys that I have all this control. Normally I keep my values under 1 here. What bringing them above 1 will do is it will make them glow. If you have any experience with photography or HDR, high dynamic range images, it will store values greater than 1. And what will happen is it will either create this glow around your particle, not in a camera, but in a game engine. I have these bloom effects in Unity where you will see this effect like this in Siege Perilous because we have bloom. In Hunger Dome, unfortunately, you're going to see it a little more HDR glow turned off. So it's a little flatter. You're not getting that glow. Things are basically being clamped out at the value of 1, which is white. Over 1, you're getting some of that bleed outside of the boundary of the particle, and that's creating a glow. So you'll see that when I turn that back on, we get more of a glow.
So, Greg, is
Yeah.
the scripting language you're using specific to Popcorn, or is there one I could learn to use multiple software solutions?
Yeah, I mean, I started as, I'm an artist. My first programming started in Flash with ActionScript. And from ActionScript, I also did web development with JavaScript. And, once you learn one language, you can use it. I mean, you can adapt that knowledge towards other languages. I learned C#, which is close enough to ActionScript and JavaScript. I know there are developers out there just screaming. I'm not a real engineer. I'm an artist who learned how to code. Popcorn is kind of this I don't want to say bastardized, but it's very code snippety where I can just. It gets a little complex, but the syntax is pretty simple. Once you learn what these operators mean, a plus sign, it's pretty easy. It's a lot of algebra, a little bit of trigonometry. I actually started as a math major before I graduated, and halfway through that, I decided I'm going to do art. I'm going to do games. I don't want to be a math teacher for the rest of my life, and that's no offense to anyone who does want to be a math teacher because I give you tremendous amount of credit. So yeah, I'm an artist who codes. My thing is I like doing a little bit of everything, and as an effects artist, you do get to do a bit of everything. I get to touch models, I get to touch animation, I get to code, and that's awesome. I love to have my hands on everything, and when I'm not making games, it's got to be everything. Effects is that happy place for me and a lot of other effects artists. I diverted a little bit from that question, but yeah, I'm showing each piece one at a time here, and you'll see let me turn these off. So I wasn't entirely happy with the base flash here. So there's a strike and then it kind of fades, bursts out. So I added this secondary fade. You see this light that kind of gets sucked in afterwards. I want it to be this impact that causes an explosion and also gets sucked back in. So I added this secondary fade in here.
Fred, let's see. Is there some randomization that is done on the effect, or is it the exact same every time?
Oh, it is totally different. I am working with randomizers, if that's what you want to call them, all the time. Most of these effects, the positions, I don't use a specific positions for every particle. You'll see here that my velocity is pumping out a random vector a vector 3. So it's giving me 3 values in x, y, z. That's firing the particle in any of those axes. And because it's doing that every time, every effect is going to look different. And that's really important when you're going to have so many of these on the screen. And even if you aren't going to have so many on a screen, like every screenshot's going to look the same. So we want everything to feel pretty organic. There's a cost to that, of course. If things were super static, I could do something like, let me pause this. So if I had sparks like this, that I wanted to look like that all the time, the most efficient way to do this would be do it externally. Don't do it in game engine. Create this effect in something like After Effects or any of your other animation tools, and render out a sprite sheet, and then run through the sprite sheet. The effect will look the same every time, and your only cost is running this sprite sheet through a single card. So it has its benefits. A lot of mobile games, maybe less so now, would use a lot more card sprite animations. And back in the day, those Shadowbane days. So yeah, like you can see here that we're getting like an organic, different explosion, spark explosion every time I restart the simulation. Yeah, I mean, this is... So these variables I was talking about that I set up here, all of these are exposed, and I can see them inside Unity. So I like to expose things like color and the size of my entire particle here, my entire particle system, because things may not be the correct scale in here. I usually bring in like a single archetype so I can... So here's our confessor, her old idol. Oh God, the animators are going to kill me. I have the old idol in here, which is a lot more stiff. She's in this like more badass, like open pose right now. But you'll see this strike is pretty large. This is the size of the center strike in the Scatterstorm, but the normal strike is closer to that size. Yeah, started as 0.5. This is pretty similar to the Druid's lightning strike hit effect. So once you get struck with that like huge lightning field that she shoots out, she's going to also get struck by lightning, which is a smaller, simplified version of this. I even have the Druid in here. Yeah, the animators did such a good job on posing these characters, especially the Druid. I mean, if you go back and see the Confessor now, her idol pose just reads so much better than it did when I put this model in here. Okay, so that's the lightning strike. Let me show you the projectile real quick. Wow, how much time do I have left?
There's a lot.
Whoa. Okay. All right, I am gonna breeze through this. Okay, so similarly, I did the same thing, one piece at a time here. I have these little lightning helixes spiraling around my projectile. This bolt was created by John. I got that in here, and I'm basically creating effects around his projectile. You can see the sparks here flying on impact. Then I created these lightning spark helixes, which were a lot of fun to create. And then at this point, I felt like it was missing something. Like there wasn't something to give it volume, so I added these rings in here, and they're pretty subtle, but it does make a difference. Again, I mean, this projectile is flying so fast. It's readable. It'll be readable in a screenshot. It'll be pretty cool. That's what effects are. Take screenshots, and then you can check them out. Some of these faster flying projectiles. That bear is flying at like 200 miles per hour. Gotta slow that thing down. Show off some particles. We should have it like taking slow steps so everyone can appreciate the particles, and then the bear will just never hit anybody. That'll be sweet. Oh, let me open. No, I'm not opening the old effect. Yeah, I am. So it's cool. Like I can do some previews in the popcorn editor and like see all of these lightning strikes, how they behave, like how they look in close proximity. And my performance charts aren't that heavy. Like you can see on a single effect, I don't really hit over 200 particles. I love the popcorn editor. I'm gonna stop gushing for a little bit, and we're gonna go inside popcorn. Unity is where we're going. We just came from popcorn. Okay, so again, this is the whole effect. So you can see, like, I'm using a lot of little lightning strikes and then a larger center lightning strike in here. And you're also seeing the projectile effect. So let me exit here and show you guys. Lots of folders, lots of project folders. We're not really going to see this. There we are. So you can see I'm also doing a lot with, there was like a little expanding projection on the ground, which is giving it just this quick burst of lightning rings so that it's not looking empty on the ground. And then each lightning strike also has these decals that appear. I can go in my little test scene and I'll dissect this there. Yeah, basically I have all of these lightning rings spawning separately, and then I'm animating them. Where's my animator? Check out my animation window. Okay, so basically these are all my keyframes for, like, you're gonna see these little checkboxes up here. Little checkboxes up here toggling on and off, and that's basically creating each of these lightning bolts. So the 3 in the center, and then a lot of these on the bottom here are scaling up my projection size. So we can look at this in pretty curves, and you'll see that over time it's making my projections larger and then making them disappear one at a time. So we're getting one of these large rings to show at a time. I have my 3 lightning strikes here, and then I have decals attached to each lightning strike. So every time a lightning strike hits the ground, it's going to leave a decal on the ground. Let's just go in the scene and I'll show you. Any other questions? Well, I got 30 seconds for the solo. What's that?
No, they're all talking about the pig.
Thanks, guys. The pig is pretty cool. I tried to win on the LOD one, but I didn't win. Gordon said he's going to take it out of my paycheck if I want a pack pig. Benefits of working on Crowfall. No, that pack pig is pretty awesome.
Can we see the other Ballista effect?
Okay, I will show Rallying Cry. Not Rallying Cry, that's the Legionnaire ability. Rallying Banner, which is going to buff your teammates that are in the... Everyone's got to, like, touch me when they walk in this room. I wish I was here at 8 a.m. to mess with Doggett. Was anyone here at 8 a.m. like still watching? Yeah. Oh, you guys were. I mean, the viewers. The viewers.
Oh my God! How did you get cooked past Doggett?
All right, baby.
Okay, so here's a Rallying Banner. I'll show you guys. So we got this banner pulsing. If you're standing in this field, you're going to get buffed up. Health, and I believe attack power. Eventually, we're going to have whatever guild crest you have on here. Right now, if you have a Ballista, that means you're on order. So we have the Order's God crest pulsing in there with every ring that's expanded. This is my gray box testing that I test in because Siege Perilous is a little heavy. It takes a little long to test in. That's Rallying Banner again. Let's do Scatterstorm, and I'll wrap this up. So you can see those...
Flaming Swords. Will there be Flaming Swords?
Oh god, Blair wants Flaming Swords so badly. Yeah, once we develop the tech where I can basically create an effect that we change the values of on the fly, so we're not asset bloating the project, not have all of these different effects for different weapons. We just need to create a system that like scales the effect for each weapon and changes the color on the fly. So I showed you those variables are exposed. We'll have the engineers change those colors on the fly once we develop the language and the tech for it. But yeah, that's something Blair absolutely wants. And not just fire swords. He wants all types of enchantments. Fire swords, lightning swords, daggers, bows. It's going to be awesome. That's a good question. Yeah, so that is the final lightning strike. It's going to take too long to launch Siege Perilous and show you guys that again. And you saw it like 10 times. So here we go, yeah. You can see those projection rings expanding on the ground and then also the lightning strike decals. Let me... Yeah.
Oh, it just went over to the next day. This is nothing when it can be. People were asking if this ends at.
Okay.
It did, but we have an update.
Yeah, I'm done. We can wrap this up.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you in
Greg.
game.
Thank you, Greg.
Anytime.
You're the best.
Around.
Around. No one's gonna
No one's gonna ever bring you down. Yeah.